Hi, David King here at davidleeking.com. My presentation is about community building and experience. Okay, so think about restaurants for a second. When you go to Denny's for a hamburger, that's pretty much what you're going to get, just a restaurant. When you go, say, to the Rainforest Cafe with your kids, the meal is almost secondary. There is much more going on there besides the food. In fact, I would say you're buying an experience that happens to come with dinner. So it's a different way of thinking about it. Focusing on the experience of the product. So that's an example of experience design in action. Here's another. Okay, look at this page for a second. This is on the Harley-Davidson motorcycle website. Look around and see what you see. You see factory tours, events, ride planners, self-guided tour maps, ride rewards, downloads, photo center, 105th anniversary celebration. It's all about the experience. What's not there? Buying a motorcycle of all things. They're focusing on the experience you have after you have the motorcycle, right? American Girl does this too. Okay, I've got two daughters. I can talk about American Girl. And I have been to the American Girl place in Chicago. Have you? Okay, so the activities there center around the dolls. You can buy the doll there if you want to, but you can also watch a musical, have tea, get a new hairdo for your doll, get your picture taken, and have it put on a magazine cover. You can spend time with your daughter having tea, that kind of thing. It's not just about buying the doll, unlike, say, Walmart, where the activity is simply buying stuff. Okay, so what are they focusing on here? It's a value-added thing. Pine and Gilmore, they wrote the book The Experience Economy. They call this the pre and the post show. So what you're focusing on is answering this question. What do I do now? You're answering that question for your customers. So that question, you center it around the product or service, and you answer the question. So you, at the Harley-Davidson place, you bought a motorcycle. What do I do now besides ride it? Well, they give you a bunch of stuff you can do. So you help customers answer that what do I do now question. And that will extend your customer's experience online or in the store even. And now let's think about Web 2.0 and having a community experience. So anybody ever have a remarkably great time at dinner with friends, maybe a group activity at church or other type of community group, or maybe attended a particularly wonderful library talk? Well, that's having a positive experience through your local community. Now this can happen digitally as well. Here's one example of that. This would be one of my blog posts with some comments. Comments are the coolest thing on the web, I think. I think they drive the emerging web revolution in many ways because you can add to the conversation and you can add content to the page. The author starts it, you can continue it. It's amazing. I wouldn't even call it a one-to-many conversation. It's a many-to-many conversation because, yes, one person starts it, but then they can finish it and everybody else can take over. And it has the potential to outlive me. So there is a definite conversation economy going on there with blogs. Tags or tagging is another example of community experience. You can participate in community via tags and tagging. So one way would be community memory. Tags create a type of community memory. So you've probably seen this before. Maybe it's getting close to the 4th of July. So maybe you have a photo tagged. You take a photo of your 4th of July celebration. You tag it 4th of July 2008. If you had an amazingly wonderful time and you're looking at that photo, reminiscing on the good time you had when you're putting it into Flickr, you might also tag it funnest time I ever had. You guys seen that kind of tag before? I have. They are creating they're expressing their feelings through that tag and creating a type of community memory. Personal tags and terms also have global reach. You're helping the world by tagging, even though it's a personal term. You're helping other people because of search and browse in most of these tools and services. Also, you're providing a glimpse into the past by your tags. Go to Flickr again, search for the New York subway strike of 2005. Obviously, you'll still find photos there, but you'll also, just through the tags, you'll be able to see their stories, what happened there. So it's a glimpse into the past via tagging. Tags provide a richer experience through the keywords you pick, so choose wisely, and you'll seamlessly add to the experience and, of course, good searchability of other people using the service and looking at your stuff. Okay, also, community experience using Twitter. It's been used as an amazing conference tool. You're sitting in a session in a conference, you're watching the speaker, you're listening, you're taking notes. With Twitter, you can also have a back channel discussion about the event as the event is taking place. That is amazing. Something that you really couldn't do before without being extremely rude anyway. And sometimes it can be used in a bit more of a rude way. I saw this at South by Southwest this past year during one of the keynotes. Mark Zuckerberg, the Facebook guy, was being interviewed by Sarah Lacey. Some people didn't like what was happening on stage for one reason or another, and they eventually they started a, hey, I don't like this on Twitter, and it ended up sort of being a nasty little mob scene in the conference session itself. It sort of interrupted the flow of things, we'll say. So Twitter can be used as crowdsourcing. It can be used as a conversation extender. So it really does provide a community experience in the digital space. So what have I touched on here so far? I'm really talking about real community. There's nothing virtual about 2.0. There's nothing techie really about 2.0 because you're connecting people to people. You're letting customers connect with you. You're letting customers connect with others. You're allowing them to know more about the products and services and tools that you have because they can ask, and they can ask each other as well. And you're letting them give input on your digital and physical services because they can say, hey, I love this, do more of it. Or, I don't like this too much. Why don't you stop it now, please? So for a library, doing this type of community experience, you're giving your customers a voice that they might never have had before. Another way to say this is telling our stories. So when you're developing community experiences for your customers, think about these things. Think about how to tell your story. So maybe, why are we doing this? Answer that question, fill it in with a story. Tell the whats, whys, and hows, not just the, this is what we have fun. Doing this will help to connect people to you and to each other and to your product. And it will allow people to participate in the story. You see this pretty directly in Second Life or World of Warcraft. And probably also Flickr because it's such a visual database. So it allows people to participate in the larger story. With Flickr, for example, the subway strike I mentioned earlier, you're telling your slice of life story, but through tags, you find the bigger picture and you see the broader story. Another way to say that is to continue the story. You start it, they continue, or the other way around. So think about Hurricane Katrina for a second. Anybody listening have a story connected with that? I'm sure some of you do. I do. So there is the official news story. Then there was someone's personal story of the hurricane, living in a FEMA trailer, etc., that kind of thing. And then I have a personal story of going down to work, connected to a church that helped build houses back for people that couldn't afford it. So there are at least 3 different stories there going on. So you can continue a story online that way. Okay, so finally, what do you think? How can you bring a community focus or experience to your organization's website or services that you're offering? Let's think about this and discuss it, either in the comments to my blog or wherever you're finding this podcast, or maybe at ALA's Bigwig Social Software Showcase. Listen to this, and then at the Social Software Showcase, that's hard to say, Social Software Showcase, you can sit down at a table with me and have a discussion on it. Thanks for listening.